Nintendo is asked, really? Nintendo is asked, which console sold better, PSP or DS? Which console sold better, 3DS or PS Vita? If you have a brain, you look at sales. Well, PlayStation handhelds do worse than Nintendo handhelds. Okay, you know, and now if the PS5 have PS5 handheld or it could just be does PS5 digital only, wouldn't be too surprised by that. Again, PS5 has no games. Okay, the Steam Deck had all of Steam's library and barely sold 2 to 3 million copies. Okay, Nintendo is not screwed or effed because Sony tried to compete with Nintendo in the handheld market. They lost. They lost huge. Okay, they lost to the PS Vita was just as big as a failure as the Wii U. And no one talks about the. I really talk about how big of a failure the Wii U was. The PS Vita was a huge failure. It was a flop. No one bought a PS Vita. I didn't know someone who owned a PS Vita, but it's very well for someone to own a PS Vita. Okay, it is extremely well. Okay, the 3DS sold 80 million copies, around 80 million copies. We're using this, but the PS Vita, 12 million. Yes, less than the Wii U. The PS Vita sold less than the Wii U, I think. That should be a massive, massive embarrassment. The PS Vita is a massive embarrassment to Sony. That's why they haven't made a PS4 handheld. Okay, actually, the PS Vita is a PS4 handheld, but I think they look at the PS Vita and say, "Hey, this console's a big, massive, massive failure. Like, what's still on the PS5? Okay, the PS5 is a failure. It's a garbage console. Okay, there's nothing to buy on the PS Vita. Okay, I'm not surprised that the PS5 sold so well despite having a city library of games that the PS Vita has because the PS Vita sold poorly, and the only games that kept the PS Vita alive were anime games that 5 people in the US bought. The PS Vita actually sold relatively well in Japan. That's because the PS Vita had all of these anime games, and which sell well in Japan, but sell like shit in the West. Of course, most people in the West are not going to buy anime games. It is just that simple. And people think, oh, but they will sell. Oh yeah, Pokemon or Dragon Ball will sell, but not Neptunia or these smaller IPs. Okay, they don't sell as well. And most of the anime games that sell well in the West are the mainstream anime, like My Hero Academia, Dragon Ball, Naruto. Okay, that's the mainstream anime. Demon Slayer. Okay, the Demon Slayer games sold relatively well in the West, but that's the mainstream anime. Okay, the Jujutsu Kaisen thing, that game sold okay, but I heard that game was terrible. Dragon Ball Z, Sparkling Zero sold extremely well, but again, Dragon Ball is a mainstream anime. Okay, of course it's gonna sell. Dragon Ball is if not one of the most popular animes of all time. Goodbye.